Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and all the viewers out there who have joined us for this talk show, UTalk with UIncept. I am Gaurav Gambhir, founder and CEO ZeroKaata, one of the accelerated companies at UIncept. And on behalf of UIncept, I welcome you all. I would like to commence with one of the top beliefs. That's my personal belief. Don't judge a man till you have walked a mile in his shoes. The statement is relatable to a lot of individuals out there and also resonates with today's topic of discussion, which is inside challenges of an entrepreneur. What goes on in his head? How does he shapes up? How does he struggles? That's what we are going to talk about today. And to discuss it, we have great set of panelists with us today. Let me introduce Mrs. Varija Bajaj, founder Varija Lifestyles, Office in U, Lela, and her latest venture, which is the Career Talks. Then we have Ms. Divvya Guptaa, CEO UIncept. We have Dr. Munish Sabharwal. He's a PhD in Psychoneurobics and Homeopathy. Plus, he's a mentor with IIM Udaipur. And lastly, we have Dr. Narendra. He's a clinical psychologist and physiotherapist with Sir H.N. Reliance Hospital. Once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have
Thank you.
I have structured today's discussion around key areas, and I would like to begin first question, which is a straight question to you, Varija ma'am, which revolves around the emotional support. Okay, the question is, some of the founders, they often struggle where they do not have emotional support from their friends and families, and a lot of dreams are crashed then and there. How do you see this coming as a challenge, or how do you think this can be addressed for a lot of upcoming entrepreneurs? Not everyone gets the requisite support. Some of them might get it, but not everyone gets it. So what do you have to say, and how would you like to address this for a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are just starting up or who have just started out?
Gaurav, first of all, thank you for putting this together and inviting me. I think this is very imperative in current times where there's a lot of disconnect in opinions because everybody is trying to figure out their own ways, and the ways are very different. But even otherwise, pre-COVID, I think communication is the key. So whether it is between your partner, whether it is your family, whether it is your staff, whether it
Right.
is your colleagues, whether it is your parents, I think discord exists all through. But communication becomes a very important key to solve difference of opinions because for every situation there are several sides of the coin. I would not say just two sides of the coin. And
Right.
there's a beautiful philosophy in Jainism which I really follow, which is there's a small story if I can just tell you in half a
Right.
minute, which is six blind men trying to explain an elephant. So if a blind man is touching the body of an elephant, says that it feels like a wall, whereas there is another person who touches the feet of the elephant and says that it feels like a pillow. The third one touches the tail of an elephant and says it feels like a rope. Now all of them are right from their perspective, but they're different from each other's. The person who can see that they're different. They're all blind, right? So we all have
Right.
a very selective view of any opinion, and we should give that due to the other person, that they must be having some reasoning behind whatever decision or stance that they've taken. What you need to do is bring that person to your side and make that person touch your story, touch your side, which is the wall if he's touching the rope. So I think that's an extra step that probably you need to take. So if I'm this generation and my parents don't understand what I'm wanting to do, I need to bring them to my side, see it from my lens. So I think communication becomes a very important part, and get your family aligned or your emotional support system aligned. That's worked
Okay.
for me.
Yeah, to each its own. Communication is, of course, I think every entrepreneur success, 85%. This, reminds me of one of the statements, which is by Carnegie Institute of Management, US, which says 85% of any entrepreneur's success depends on the communication. Only 15% contributes to the technical bit. But this is something when he has launched this product or his services already. So I guess this statement goes valid even before that, what you
Yeah.
just described. Okay, Divya, would you like to add something onto this particular question, or would you like to
Yeah, sure.
conclude?
Sure. So when you talk about the support system, I believe there are two types of support system. One could be an external support system, and the other would be an internal support system. Where what Varija ji just told us, I think belongs to the very close people that we have in our lives. And I totally agree with her that we should communicate to them and tell them by digging deep into what their perspectives are. And if we have something to tell them about how we want to pursue our lives, we should be able to communicate them in the best possible way, not by arguing or overlooking their fears and their concerns towards us, but just by making them understand about what we seek in our lives as entrepreneurs so that we don't regret later. And this also includes people who are our friends apart from our family members. And in that scenario, I would say anybody who's a naysayer who says that you cannot do kya kar rahe tu, you're leaving your job and you're at such a high position and you're starting up a new business altogether, I think that's not required. This may not work. I
Right.
think we just ignore them, and pursue the things that we really want to do. And talking about the external system, I think support system not. I mean, it's just not the internal people and friends and families that need to support us. It's also the entire ecosystem of startup community, including the mentors and government and investor community should also support and help the new entrepreneurs that are coming up. That gives a really good boost. So this is what I would like to say.
Sure thing. But I guess the bottom line remains the communication from anyone's end.
Absolutely.
As an individual or as a society, everyone's communicating and getting things right, getting the basics right. Okay, great.
Yes.
My next question is for you, Dr. Munish, wherein I want to highlight an area which is a lot of entrepreneurs, they have to make sacrifices. They have to overcome a lot of failures. But as an entrepreneur, as an individuals and human beings, we are not really tuned to accept those sacrifices or those failures in a positive way. We don't take them the way it comes to us. So, how do you think one should try and make peace with those sacrifices and embrace them as a part of the journey? Because everyone has to make some sort of see, nothing is free, no lunch is free, right? So even entrepreneurship comes at a certain cost. So how should that be addressed, Dr. Munish?
Gaurav, thank you very much. I would, if you permit, can I add to what the first question was
Sure thing,
before I
please.
come to the
Sure.
Gaurav, we talked about communication. So I would like to share two mantras as far as communication with the family is concerned.
Sure.
When you are communicating, please communicate with a bridge of love. Please understand the speed at which you are going at is different from the speed at which your father and mother are at. Remember the speed at which your wife is, that is a different speed. And remember, the speed at which your child is at a different speed. They are all in different speed zones. You may be going at 120 kilometers. Your father may be going at 40 kilometers. Your mother may be going at 30 kilometers. Your child may be going at 5 kilometers.
Right.
Remember, your communication has to be bonded with only one word, love. Love, love. The moment your body language and your body language and your tone, your tenor. Just remember, the vibration comes from your body language first, not from your language. The way you are approaching your father, the way you are approaching your mother, the way you are approaching your child, once this bridge of love is there, reciprocation will automatically happen. It has to happen. We don't build that simple word of love and then we burn it off. Number 1 point, just remember this. Number 2 point, I want to emphasize very clearly. Don't expect any reciprocation if you are not sharing with them confidentiality. Have confidence with them. Share with them. Share and share
Right.
with love. That's all. Share with love is the 1 point which I wanted to share. And this is adding to what Madam Varija said. Now I'll come to
So,
the question. Yeah, please.
in fact, this clearly sets the tone because this is our first question, and I made a statement. Don't judge a man till you have walked a mile in his shoes. So we need
Right.
to understand what those shoes are. How is my father thinking? How is my mother thinking? So well noted, sir. Well noted. Please go ahead.
So now coming to your question about the sacrifices part,
Failures, yes.
So what happens when an entrepreneur, when he starts off, he
Right.
makes a lot of sacrifices, his sacrifices can be divided into two parts, right? One is the sacrifices you need to remember his own sacrifice, which is his own health, right? That is the first part is my soul. Outside my soul is my body, right? The
Right.
sacrifice he is making is in terms of loss of sleep, right? Loss of and then having tension, loss of health, right? This is the first structure of the sacrifice which he is making, right? I'll come to the solution part of it, what to do about it. Then the
Sure.
second part of the sacrifice is, which is an immediate circle, which we talked about in the first question. The immediate circle is in terms of sacrifice, in terms of the sacrifice he is making vis-a-vis his child is concerned. He is
Right.
coming every day at 2 o'clock in the night till the time his child was in class 5, class 6, maybe class 7, and is lost it all. It's a
Right.
very, very huge sacrifice, which honestly speaking, money cannot compensate for.
Yeah.
And the child may also never understand it when he grows up. It's a very, very big sacrifice. A
Right.
sacrifice which you have done for your family, and the child would say, how does it make a difference to me? You be ready for it. I am being honest about it. Be ready for it. Because remember, at the end of the day, it was your dream. It was not your child's dream. It was not your father's dream. It was not your mother's dream. So sacrifice to karna padega. Now, when it comes to your mother and father, they may be going through certain health problems, right? The sacrifice which you are doing as well as they are doing, remember, they are also doing a sacrifice. Wherever,
Right.
assuming your father is having a health problem and you are not available, and it is quite possible because of that non-availability, your father gets into a situation of a health problem which gets aggravated. So that is a sacrifice which is being made by the family as well as you.
Right.
So these are two parts of it. One is your the body sacrifice, and then is the inner circle sacrifice. So we have to understand it, and the only solution to it is comes in the first question. That's why I didn't want to leave it. Is the bridge of love. And if you bond it with the bridge of love, this second question gets answered. Otherwise, it does not get answered. Remember, sacrifice, whenever it is being made, as far as your body is concerned, you are not able to sleep well, your BP is getting up, and all that can be ironed to a very great extent if there is a huge amount of love flowing out of you. for your family, it will come back. It will come back 10 times and it will heal you up. Similarly, when that love keeps on flowing, irrespective of whatever your challenges on business are, remember your support system of your wife, your child, your parents, right, will reciprocate and always be standing with you, right? So it is actually not a sacrifice if you really ask me. You give one, you'll get back 10. That's what I wanted to share. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Gaurav. In case anything is left out, please let me know.
No, so I've understood the context. I guess it's a very basic solution, but we tend to miss on this. You know, that feeling of love towards your family. I mean, few basic things are taken for granted. So it's important that we should realize this as an individual, that the solution lies within us when we are seeking some sort of we have made that sacrifice, okay, but to love someone and to have someone to love us, I mean, that totally depends on how we see the situation and how we make the environment around us. Okay. Dr. Narendra, would you like to add something to this question, please?
So first of all, Gaurav, slight correction. I'm a clinical psychologist and psychotherapist, not a physiotherapist. So the introduction bit, I just wanted to correct.
Sure.
I think what I want to add over here is not direct, but I think I want to take it the other way around, where I want the family to understand the guy who's starting or the lady who's starting a startup. So they've touched on how the family looks around, but I think I want to touch on this part of the startup person who's starting the startup. So I think let's understand the load on the person who's starting a startup. He has to have a vision for his company. Okay, so he starts the business with the thing that, okay, my business has this vision, or this is what I want to achieve. Second is to find employees who are aligned with that vision, okay, who also believe in the same thing. Third is to maintain that alignment over a period of time. So it's very easy to find people, but over a period of time, people may distort that vision and take the company somewhere else. So the startup guy has to also guide the company towards growth, because if you don't grow the company, all the people who you found or employed are going to run away from you. He has to set the framework for the culture of the organization. That means your organization, what does it really stand for? Does it stand for service? Does it stand for quick delivery? Does it stand for what? Has to also be emphasized. Now, the startup guy cannot make a mistake because he's in everybody's spotlight. Whether it's a family, it's an employee, it is a guy who's funding your startup. So you have to do right by yourself and by everybody else. And understanding that leadership is actually an extremely arduous task. It's not a very, very easy task. Okay.
Sure.
And the biggest challenge here is that many other startup leaders have never had any leadership experience before or exposure before. So this is the first time in their life when they are reaching out and they're trying to make something of their lives. So actually, I think the kudos should go to the guy who's taking this challenge on starting a startup. I think rather than the family has to support you, whether they like it or not. And this whole element of love and this, that, all that is in the background, I agree. But actually, our love should flow automatically, because here's a person from my family who's daring to do what nobody else in my family has done. So I have a different take on this.
Thanks for adding it very loudly. So again,
I was loud.
No, it's a different perspective altogether, of course. So we have to have different perspectives in place, because like I said, to each its own. Every entrepreneur has its own set of journey, right?
Gaurav, I like the hidden smiles that all of us had while he was talking, because I think somewhere all of us resonated that bit.
Okay. His smirk said it all.
All of us are, all our smirks together.
Right. Divvya, you want to add something to this question before I move on to the next question?
Yeah, I would like to say, I think Dr. Narendra, what you said is definitely a different perspective, but a lot of us can, including the people I know as founders, can say that, yeah, families have been less supportive. I mean, to most of them, yes, it is a problem. But yes, we should be um, more positive in terms of our approach towards people who are at least trying to do something with their lives, our own family members. I agree with you. And talking about the sacrifices, I believe if we want something in our lives, it is a choice that we have to make. So in terms of the relations, and in terms of the sleep, health, and in terms of um, the resources that we have, the money that I could have used otherwise, I will have to put that money into my business. And in terms of relationships, in terms of employee management and other things that, like you just mentioned, I think it's an opportunity cost uh, that's gone, in making of something which is very beautiful. So one has to prioritize and find what exactly they are bringing to the table. और फिर उसके बाद तो जब चीज़ें होने लग जाती हैं तो I believe that people and everything just falls in place. But the process जो होता है वो that one individual has to go through, and they only know the costs, the sacrifices, and everything that's gone in all of it. That is what I want to say. Gaurav, know better than you, and
I will,
Varija ji.
Gaurav, I would like to add one point,
Please,
which
sir.
will
Go ahead.
supplement what Narendra ji said. And, there is a word which is known as Acharya.
Right.
Acharya, right? This is the word which is given to the most senior most guru in the Indian context, right? And the Acharya word comes from Acharan. Acharan means how you
Vyavahar.
talk, how you behave, ultimately makes people around you follow you. You have to set the example, right? You have to be the Acharan, right? We were talking about leadership.
Right. Right.
If I want my family to reciprocate, I have to set the Acharan. I have to be like a leader. I have to be like the Acharya. So that's all I'm saying. I fully agree with Dr. Narendra ji, but this is one thought which I thought I must share with.
No, great, sir, great. No, in fact, taking cue from here, taking this Acharan forward, I have an extension to next question, which I have split it into two. First part, I would like Dr. Narendra to answer from psychological perspective, and the part B from homeopathic perspective. So the question is, most of the leaders, they have realized that they end up working for their employees. Their employees do not work for them. Okay. And they often struggle with their, I'm sure they do struggle with their self-respect, because that is being hurt in some way or the other. So how an entrepreneur should address this problem from a psychology perspective is what I would like Dr. Narendra to answer. And the part B is where, again, the repercussions are that entrepreneurs and the leaders, they are often nervous, they are often anxious, they are in depression as well. So how can they seek help from homeopathic perspective is I would want Dr. Munish to answer. So over to you,
So,
Dr. Narendra.
yeah. So, Gaurav, thank you. So, to answer your question, I would like to start off by saying that every leader was once upon a time a follower. So, from childhood, you looked at your dad or your grandfather or your neighborhood uncle or a few teachers, and you got inspired by them, and you kind of learned from them. So while you were learning from them, these leaders made a few mistakes. So your father may have been, an angry person, or your teacher may have been late, or so on and so forth. So we kept on looking at these leaders, people we admire, but we also see that they are not perfect. They
You're
are
not.
human beings making lots of mistakes. Now, one of the key things which I want to address here is that as a leader, your job is to boost everyone's self confidence. So people are coming to work for you. At the end of the day, Your job is not to reduce their self-confidence, to boost it up. So whenever in the startup culture, you hire a lot of newbies, people who have not worked elsewhere, they're coming for the first time, or they're on an internship, and so on and so forth. So they have never worked anywhere. And because the startup culture is such that you're low on resources, you're in a hurry, you want to grow fast, what you do is you keep on burdening these employees with more and more and more responsibilities. And when they fail, you kind of, it backfires on them. It's a morale boost. Rather than boosting the morale, it destroys their morale.
Brings
So
down.
one of
Yeah.
the key mistakes we want to do is not to make our employees do things which they're not really good at. You may be good at certain things, and if you want your employees to get there, you'll have to actually sit down with them, explain to them, get them on the same thing. If they gradually pick it up, they can become a big advantage to the organization. The second thing I think is that startups have to also set team goals rather than individual goals. But because the startups have very lean teams, they set up individual goals. आपको ये करना है, आपको ये करना है, ये करना है. And as a result, what happens is the team culture doesn't develop. Now, what
Sure.
happens in big organizations and good organizations is that you don't make individuals responsible for goals. You make a team responsible, and then you leave the functionality, day-to-day functionality, to the team. How they will achieve, who will do what, when they will achieve, and so on and so forth. So the flow of the work is left to the team. Whereas in the startup, the entrepreneur may get into the thing of really sitting with small things and getting the nitty-gritty of getting this executed. That's the second part. The third part is that many startups ignore the competition. We think that we have a great idea, and हमारे idea से अच्छा idea किसी का नहीं है. But remember that more than ideas, what ideas are there, everybody has ideas. Implementation is the key. So whenever you get into the real world, you have to focus that there's a real-time competition over there. And if you are a good idea, soon there will be competition. You may not be the only person who's having that idea. There'll be other people who will be coming with that idea. So we have to understand that every idea will have follow-up ideas where people will try to be better than you. The fourth is that in every startup, because you are low on resources, many times you may accept failure or wrongdoing, and you may say, "Chalta hai, chalne do, baad mein dekhenge. Right now, let's get the job done." We are in a hurry to get certain things done, but understand that that is setting the groundwork for how this startup is going to evolve over a period of time. If you are very clear that certain things are absolutely not allowed or will not be entertained or will not be tolerated, over a period of time, this will happen. The fifth thing I think we need to, as a startup entrepreneur, we need to focus on is that we want to build a great team, not great individuals. So you don't want a hero or a guy who's standing for the startup, but you're focusing on trying to build a team. Because when you try to raise the bar for an individual, the team may feel neglected, or other people in the team may feel that we are not getting due credit for whatever we've been asked to do, and as a result the culture will go away. Now what this does is it sets up internal competition. Now there are two human processes: cooperation and competition. If you have a great team, or you develop this thing of that we are all together and we are a rocking team, okay, so it's not that one guy is a star, but we are all a team together. That is when you'll find that the startup will start performing better. So these are the key things I think: focusing on the team collaboration, focusing on understanding that our employees may not have the skill sets that we have, understanding that it's a team job, it's not an individual thing, our goals are all as a team. That's when I think the really team will grow. As this is what I think I need to talk about the startup culture.
You mentioned about micromanagement. This micromanagement often brings a lot of pressure on the startup owner who's like, if I am letting each and every person know you have to do this way, because they didn't hire the proper guy or they didn't have the proper resource, that builds up the entire anxiety and depression. Oh shit, I do not have, and I do not have the right person with me. I am losing out on such and such things because the goals are aggressive. And that's where you have this, because you have set there's a own perception in your own head. you know for me, Gaurav Gambhir exists here. How should one address that particular bit?
I didn't follow the question. Sorry.
Okay, so I have my own set of perception in my head.
Yes.
Okay, how should I break that perception? That perception is made by my own thinking, and that might not be right. Okay, that's
Okay.
where I am facing challenges in getting things executed by my team,
Yeah.
and
So I
and,
think
eventually micromanagement is happening.
okay. So I think as Dr. Munish has spoken earlier, I think the key is communication over here. So if I have a team, if I'm failing because I'm unable to communicate what's in my head to the people around me.
No, how should I communicate with myself to make understand? Okay, this is not right, Gaurav. You should approach this problem in a different way. So
So
is there some sort of I mean, from psychological perspective, you'll have to put light, but I mean, some tools are there. I don't know what sort of a solution
So
exists.
Gaurav, we all have an individualized thought process. So I
Correct.
look
Yeah.
at a situation with a particular thought at it, and I come
Okay.
to my own individual conclusions. Right now, some of
Right.
these conclusions are right, some of these conclusions are wrong, but we
Right.
all believe that our conclusions are right. Most of us
Yeah.
don't question our conclusions. So the
Right.
only way you can learn and grow and evolve is that when you start discussing these conclusions or these thoughts and these ideas with people around you, you can have an inner trust circle. There may be 4 or 5 people, there may be 3 friends, there are people who know you, or there are people you respect. So there is this whole thing of coaching program. You can reach out to a coach with whom you can discuss privately, confidentially. You can have a counselor, you can have a mental health expert. So the idea is that your thought process has to match the reality out there. Like I said,
Correct.
that in my own head, I have come up with the greatest idea, but what I want
Right.
to highlight over is ideas are dime a dozen. Everybody can come up with an idea. Is the
Sure.
execution which matters. So the real nitty gritty of getting down to brass tacks, getting into hard work, and making sure that I'm communicating this to the team which is following me. So there are a lot of people who are looking at me as a leader. Now, if my own thought processes are not clear, or it's muddled up, it's confused, then I'm going to take 100 people down with me. It's not just that I'm putting myself at risk, I'm putting the entire startup company at a risk. So I think
Absolutely.
lot of startup guys are very brilliant. They may have great ideas, okay. Where they fail is to communicate this to the second level team or the third level team or the fourth level team, because you are not going to do the execution. There's a team which is going to execute your ideas. And
True. True.
how realistic and how in tune with things around you are, being aware of your competition, being aware of your advantages, being very clear about your culture, knowing what you want to achieve is what's going to help you. So having a mentor or having a coach or having somebody you can talk to really helps. You get a perspective on things.
Great. Great. So I think thanks for this answer, Dr. Narendra, and kudos to you, Varija ma'am, because eventually things are boiling down to communication. You have to have, even those source resources are available, you need to communicate. Because you need to tell them what do you think about this particular perception which you have in your head. Great. Moving to second part of the question, Dr. Munish, which is again, this anxiety and all this nervousness, depression. Can you suggest anything from homeopathic perspective, please?
Yeah, I will definitely do that. Before that, I will just like to, add to what Dr. Narendra said.
Sure, please.
This same question was basically asked to Narayan Murthy, and
Oh, is it?
yeah, the same question was asked to him, and he basically attributed one very big point in terms of his success over the last 30-35 years is concerned, and he said taking constant feedback from his team in terms of his own actions is something which has given him the maximum benefit.
Great.
So
Great.
basically, Dr. Narendra, in fact, had put it very well. So the idea is that you need to brainstorm with your team. You need to constantly talk to them and take their feedback. At the same time, we need to remember something very, very clearly. Your dream is different. Your vision is different, right? employees together as a team will definitely deliver it, right? But we need to understand that you need to have that cutting edge in terms of your vision, in terms of your thought, in terms of your aspirations. Now, what I am talking about this is very clearly evident from an example which I will share with you. That example
Please.
will come to you, and it will really strike the point very clearly. The top 30 companies of this country, which are the Sensex companies, have a market capitalization which is equivalent to 59% of the GDP of this country.
Okay. Almost 60%.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is the top 100 companies, essentially speaking, would be having around about, say, 100 entrepreneurs, say 2 brothers, 3 brothers, father, son, whatever, right? So, and if you talk about if you talk about the entire employee strength of those top 30 companies, it would be maybe 20 lakh or maybe 25 lakhs. I'm not aware of that. But in terms of the wealth is concerned, wealth of those top 100 people belonging to the top 30 companies, right?
Right.
Which is 60% of the GDP of the country. And that wealth of the 15-20 lakh employees of those companies, the wealth of those employees would not be more than 0.1% of the total GDP of the country.
Okay.
So let's be very honest and let's be very clear about it. We have to be the guiding force, right? At the same time, keep on taking feedback, but please understand to make a difference between the rice and the hay, So don't get disillusioned if you are getting feedback which is, you feel that is substandard. So you should be in a position to pick up the rice from the haystack, right? Because ultimately, where you are targeting is over there in the top, right? So this is the part of it. Now coming to the second part which you mentioned in terms of homeopathy is concerned, then you mentioned about the journey of an entrepreneur filled with depression, with anxiety, with nervousness, with sleepless nights. The homeopathy perspective I would like to share with you is that, you'll be surprised to know in homeopathy there are medicines which are tailor-made. Let's talk about somebody who is feeling sleeplessness, or whenever he is going to sleep, he is getting a lot of dreams, right?
Okay.
Lot of dreams. And so you'll be surprised if the person is having a fear of losing out wealth, there is a different medicine for that. If a person is having a feeling that he is losing out to competition and his competition will soon thrash him off, right? And he always keeps on getting a jerk and dreams in his this thing that people are backstabbing him. There is a different medicine for that. There is a different medicine for people who are having depression out of the feeling that they will fail. There is a different medicine, for people who are getting stomach aches because of anxiety and fear of failure. There is a different medicine in case they
Some
do not
violent.
feel. Yeah, they feel lonely all the time. They feel
Yes.
lonely.
Or else
Yeah.
there are some violent dreams there are some violent. Often people do get violent dreams as well.
Yeah, in fact, if you're talking about violent dreams, there are separate medicines for people who get snakes in their dreams, robbers in their dreams, and there are different medicines for people who feel that they have been thrown out of the bed. These are type of violent dreams. So all I'm trying to say is that depression, anxiety, nervousness has been captured very well in homeopathy, must have been captured in other sciences also. I'm not saying that. So in case any entrepreneur is going through this type of situation, this type of a challenge, without having any fear that he would get into that medicine for life, that doesn't happen over here. If he goes and get the right diagnosis done, the right rubrics is found out from a doctor, it can really be life changing as far as is concerned. Apart from taking the right psychological consultation, for which Dr. Narendra is an expert.
So his acharan will improve then.
Yeah,
His
absolutely.
right? Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. Thank you so much, Dr. Munish. We'll move on to next question, which is for you, Varija ma'am. And I'm sure this is not a new question for you because I've seen you attending a lot of webinars, conducting a lot of webinars. And pandemic did affect each one of us. I guess all five of us would have a similar consensus on this. And we as entrepreneurs are facing a lot of troubles. Some of the sectors are totally doomed now. Tourism, hospitality, services in terms of few offline services startups, they did exist in offline domain as well. They were thinking to get into online mode, but when they started off they thought, okay, they'll test their idea in offline mode. So a lot of sectors are affected, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs listening to the watching this session would agree with me. You as an individual, either you had a company, now you do not have a company, you had to shut down, you had to lay off few people, your motivation is affected in some way or the other. How do you think how an entrepreneur should address this uh, particular area wherein he should be able to motivate his or her employees?
Got a very interesting question, and I think a lot we will resonate with each other on this. Um, I think deep inside, all of us try to achieve our nirvana, right? At some point of our life. That is, stay connected yet stay disconnected. Karo or fal ki ichha mat karo. Like the Nishkam Karma, the Gita, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I think it has become a necessity more than a want right now in the current scenario of pandemic, where all your plans go haywire. Whatever that you
oh,
schedule just turns out to be a total mess. So every morning when you wake up with a plan, be rest assured that it might just not happen. So at the back of your mind, you're well prepared that it may not go as what you've scheduled, which we do otherwise
right.
also. And also we create scenarios from the management perspective. We do create scenarios in terms of risk and crisis management. We have one or two or three or four backup scenarios. But in current scenario, I think uh, in each department we have 8 to 10 backup scenarios, which is
Yeah,
exhausting. It is tiring, but that's the need of the hour. And so that is from the practical perspective. With regards to where the industry is going, I think we were being hinted towards the scenario slowly and steadily. I was anticipating that a lot of industries, a lot of systems, a lot of education is getting obsolete. It had not invented, reinvented, or innovated itself for many, many years. So, for example, we had stopped going to movie halls and we were getting addicted to Netflix and Amazon
right,
Primes. We had stopped
right.
buying cars and we were getting used to the Ubers and the Olas. We had stopped buying office spaces and wanted to go for co-working spaces. Stopped making food at home because Zomato and Swiggy was available, right? So the world was changing, the consumer was changing, the consumer behavior was changing, but somewhere the entrepreneurs were still stuck in their obsolete way of doing business. And the use of technology, the use of artificial intelligence, the use of data, which was really necessary, has become very imperative now. You can't do without it. So I probably anticipated this disruption 2, 3, 4 years down the line. It has come now as a bomb on us. We have no other choice but to innovate and reinvent ourselves. If I actually talk about, the job market, a lot of people, a lot of students who are stepping out, I interact with a lot of them and a lot of freshers, and they their complaint is that there are no jobs in the market. On the other end, when I talk to entrepreneurs, when I talk to companies, they say we don't find the right skills. So there's a skill set mismatch. What is being taught in colleges, what is being taught in our education system has become so obsolete. It is not relevant in today's time. So it's time to reskill ourselves even faster than what we would have anticipated otherwise. So I think it's an absolute. So we are reinventing innovation. So we are expected to innovate, but the definition of innovation is reinvented due to COVID. And the faster we learn that, I think better for all of us.
In fact, this reminds me, a couple of days back, PM Modi stated at one of the conferences, addressing to the youth, that it's time to reskill yourself and then eventually innovate. Reskill was the area where he
So
hinted on.
if I can also share one of the examples, I mean, a couple of examples for that matter. So fashion as an industry is considered extremely glamorous in India. And most students who actually venture into fashion at the back of their mind think that this is a glamorous industry and this is what I'm going to expose to. And in the current scenario, there is absolutely zero glamour. We are in a lockdown state. But there is still a lot of need. There is still a lot of business which nobody is looking at. One small example is 4 years ago, we had 3 lakh breast cancer survivors in India. In 2020, we are expecting 18 lakh breast cancer survivors in India. 18 lakh women, not a single brand of lingerie in India which is targeting them. There is a whole new market which has come up in 3 years. It is not a subject which is taught in colleges. There's no startup looking at this segment. There is no company that is looking at this segment. There's a ready market for 18 lakh women, and most of these women are urban women because of their lifestyle and the way the stresses of living in cities, all that is getting onto them, and that's one of the reasons for cancer, of course. So, but from the fashion segment, we still want to design lehengas, we still want to design for Bollywood, we still want to design for the red carpet, and none of that is existent right now. So I won't say that there are no opportunities, there are no businesses, but certain opportunities are dying and certain opportunities are coming. So we really need to look at reskilling ourselves and look at new opportunities.
Sure.
So, Gaurav, can I add a point here, please, if you don't mind?
Please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'll add from a psychological perspective, the point is that, see, human survival depends on adaptability. So what Varija ji was just saying is, so if you are making lehengas earlier and today you realign and you adapt and you start making things will happen in your career. So a lot of masks, there were people who were not able to, garments, they started making masks and there's a huge market. China has changed itself and they started making produce for for the COVID stuff. They have evolved. So what I want to say over here is that actually what you need to do is reinvent yourself. You need to look at how can I adapt to the changing environment. The environment is not going to remain the same, it's going to keep on evolving. So startups were seen as people who disrupted businesses. Today a lot of startups are feeling disrupted themselves, which is the irony of the whole scene. So what I want to highlight over here is, just like you are adaptable, just like you looked at what mistakes others are making and you worked on that and you came up with a better product, you need to do the same thing again. So I don't think we need to lose hope. First of all, we need to be extremely hopeful that things will change, things will happen, and things will go back to, I think very soon you'll find that we are again talking about traffic jams and people moving around and things like that. So let's not become little hopeless over here. The second key I want to highlight is, like in India, we didn't have this thing of online consultation with a doctor, with a therapist, with we didn't have medical consultations. But for your information, today 90% of my consults are happening online. The advantage of that is I'm now accessible to anybody all over the country. Earlier, only people in Bombay in my segment could come and meet me. Now anybody from the entire country, entire world can access me. So opportunities are not lost. Different kinds of opportunities have come about. Let's not lose that sight. Okay. The other point here is there was a study done with children on which teachers they liked. And children said that we like teachers who bring a certain enthusiasm to the class. So whenever you go to work, you must bring that enthusiasm to work and not go with a morose mindset, which I think will come only when you're hopeful, which cannot come negative zone and worrying about what's going to happen. I'm saying don't be unrealistic. Of course, it's a tough time, but one needs to understand that times will change and better times will come. That's the only thing I wanted to say.
Great. In fact, I want to share what I did on this particular perspective with my own team. We have come up with this term called likable morons. So I tell them we are morons, but we are likable. We have to inculcate that particular likability so that if we are likable, we will any which ways create that energy with whosoever we are interacting. Even though we are interacting with our customers in online space, it is okay. You will pass on that energy there. So we call themselves, we have reinvented ourselves as likable morons during this pandemic and trying to sail. So great. Thank you so much, Dr. Narendra. Uh, Divya, you want to conclude on this particular question? How are you addressing your challenges at UIncept? What has changed? In fact, I would like you to conclude on this question before I move on to next.
I think Varija ji and Dr. Narendra both have
All in the
explained it
show.
really. Like when I heard her saying "Karam karte jao aur fal ki ichha mat karo" Gita se. So
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think everything has changed and it is evolving at a very fast pace. Things are dying and more things are coming up. So we should not lose our hope. I think I was, very satisfied with the answers that I got here, and I was just thinking that when we go to our workplace and in a scenario of a startup where if such pandemic comes, everybody feels so haywire and things go out of the place. We should not lose our hope. We should always think that कर्म करना हमारा सबसे बड़ा रूप है.
Right.
That is something that I believe in, and rest is up to the Almighty. But yes, we should be realistic as well. We should, because we put so much of efforts in the things. We expect things to work for us, and if they don't, we feel heartless, and that is where the problem starts. Because अगर ये नहीं हुआ तो कुछ और होगा. But what we will take from this very experience will add on to our next journey is very important to understand for any individual. And it is all about the journeys, not about the destination, because when we reach there we have another thing ahead of us waiting for us to work upon. So that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. A lot of solutions have been added to the session so far, to the talk show. I'm sure the entrepreneurs who are listening, they would be benefited in times to come. I want to take this to a next level where my next step is not really a question. I think I want this to be a practical exercise where I would want Dr. Narendra and Dr. Munish to share some de-stressing techniques with us, as simple as breathing exercise or something else which can bring down our stress levels in our daily lives, irrespective. If even if you are not an entrepreneur, I think stress is with everyone. It's in the relationship, it's with, your dog is not eating, you have a stress on your head. So it's very trivial, but it is a stress. So I would want to add that practical bit to the session where if it'll be great if we can practice for next 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We'll start with you, Dr. Narendra. Any of the de-stressing technique which each and every individual can inculcate, and of course the entrepreneurs can also practice.
So, Gaurav, there are very simple techniques. I will not go into the more complicated ones. I'll teach you the
Sure,
simplest one, which
please.
anybody can do it. You can do it while you're sitting in office. You can do it while you're traveling in the car to the office. You can do it at home, whenever, whatever. Now, this simple technique, I would like to practice on all four of you. My only request is that you do it as nicely as you can. And at the end
Sure.
of it, give your honest feedback whether it worked for you or didn't work for you. Okay.
Okay,
So I want
we'll try.
honest feedback, because if it doesn't work, I will not teach it to anybody else hereafter. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So just sit back and close your eyes and take the most comfortable position that you can take. Pay attention to your breathing right now. Just see how you're breathing at this point of time and make sure that your breathing is slow and steady. If there are any thoughts in your head while you're doing this, just push them aside and focus on this. Forget that there's a camera which is monitoring you, and just focus on your breathing. While we're doing this exercise, you'll not move your body at all. You'll not open your eyes and not get distracted by anything around you. So there are two parts to this exercise. In the first part, I'll ask you to take a deep breath and hold it. Till I don't ask you to release your breath, you'll not release it. This we will do 5 times. In the second part, I want to just count backwards slowly in your head from 50 to 1, without shaking your body, without opening your eyes. Once again, just make sure that you're absolutely relaxed, comfortable, and focus on your breathing. So take the first deep breath and take a deep breath and hold it. Feel the tension and the pressure as you hold your breath. See how difficult it is to hold your breath. You struggle. Release and see how good that feels when you let go of the breath. Breathe normally. Take the second deep breath in. Hold. Feel the tension in your body. See how your shoulders, your chest, your arms, abdomen, how everything becomes tight just because you're holding on to the air. See the struggle, release, and experience how good that feels. Just letting go of the breath. Take the third deep breath in. Hold. See how your shoulders become tight, your spine becomes tight. Feel the pressure in your throat, in your neck. See how every part of the body tightens up just because you're holding on to the air. Release and experience the sense of relief that you get when you let go of the air. Take the fourth deep breath in as much as you can, maximum. Stretch your body fully. Experience the pressure. Release and experience the deep sense of relief that you get. Take the fifth and final deep breath in. Hold. Release and see how good that feels. Continue sitting, and now very slowly in your head, count backwards from 50 to 1. 50, 49, 48. When you reach 1, open your eyes. Okay. So I'm enjoying looking at your facial expressions. Okay. So I will start with Dr. Sabharwal since he opened his eyes last. I'll go in the reverse order. So what is your feeling, sir? How does it feel after doing it?
Like you go into a black hole,
Mm.
like they show it in the movies. You've never been there, so there's so much of an intense amount of a concentration to track that ulti wali ginti. It helps to cut off all your thoughts from your mind and then focus on that ulti ginti so that you don't miss it out. And as you keep on going down and down and down, you know, uh, you are cutting off all your thoughts and gives a lot of uh, peace. And when
So
you
you feel
open
blank?
your,
You feel blank right now?
no, not at all blank, but
Blank in the head in the sense?
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
relax. I would say that's a better word. Not blank.
Okay. Okay.
Relaxed and lot of new space. I would say.
Okay. Divya?
I would say I'm feeling very, very relaxed right now. And I was more focused on the flow and the conversation and the challenges that an entrepreneur has to face. Now I'm not worried about anything. I'm
Gaurav? Sorry, I finish. And?
no, just saying I'm at peace right now.
Okay. Gaurav?
So I feel like an alien right now. Uh, Good that you didn't start with me asking this question because I had to struggle. Okay, I am conducting a session and I'm the moderator, so I had to take those 30 seconds to come back to the reality. So, like you said, I was literally blank, when I opened my eyes. So, I like an alien.
Okay. Varija ji?
I think pretty much the thought that Gaurav had. It took me a couple of seconds to come back.
Okay.
I was,
So so I think it's a beautiful, as you can see, it's a beautiful, simple exercise. There's no mumbo jumbo. There's no yahan wahan ka. We are not getting into religion. Nothing. All we are doing is so what happens is you focus like Dr. Sabarwa said, because you're so focused on counting backwards, nothing else comes to your head. So there are, you can actually go to sleep while you're doing this exercise.
Yeah.
So if you lie down and do it, you'll actually pass out. So I would suggest you can do this morning, afternoon, evening, night. At the end of 15 days, you will be a changed human being, all of us. This is a very simple exercise. There are many more like this, but this is the simplest exercise I have taught you.
Okay, great, great. Again, so I'm sorry, I'm in the back seat right now. So,
No, actually, Gaurav, I saw you. Actually, when you opened your eyes, you actually came out in that state as if you're
yeah,
struggling to open your eyes.
exactly. So that precisely happened. You know, dhoop, dhoop, alien. That was the feeling. So does this exercise help in getting better sleep as well? I mean,
Yeah.
just a question.
Yeah. So it will actually, what it does is reduces the chatter that we have in our head. So all the
Okay,
time you're thinking, and that will reduce. And when that reduces overall, and as you are taking in more oxygen, the brain gets more oxygen. So the flow and the
got it.
functioning overall improves. It will also help you to relax and you'll sleep better.
Correct. Great, sir. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful. Uh, Dr. Munish, over to you. We are ready. We are all set for the next set of exercise or any other tip you would want to share with us, please.
Okay. Thank you, Gaurav. Gaurav, you have been regularly practicing one of the exercises which I had suggested in February, right? So
Yes.
before I come to this one, since the context of the discussion today has been a lot on depression, also anxiety and nervousness. So I would basically touch upon an exercise which will basically help in terms of getting over with uh, depression, anxiety, nervousness, and all that, right? So before I
Okay.
start, could you like to share your experience of the what you have been practicing since February when we did?
No, in fact,
Uh,
it has been really great. It has helped me in becoming calm. I did this exercise. In fact, every Saturday we do this exercise with my team as well. It is helping them in making them understand that yes, we have to be strong. There is no you don't struggle with your thoughts anymore. So that's how I have been experiencing, and my team has also been experiencing with what you taught at IXI Summit on 6th of February.
Thank you, Gaurav. So that exercise was basically the third eye exercise, which was the third eye is basically this point.
Right.
So that helps in terms of resonating with the entire environment. And basically, the underlining theme of that exercise is that I'm an enlightened soul.
Right.
Enlightened soul in the sense that you are enlightened vis-a-vis the ideas in the universe is concerned. You are enlightened vis-a-vis what is possibly has happened in the past, and you are enlightened vis-a-vis what is possibly likely to happen in the future vis-a-vis heightened intuition sense is concerned, right? So
Okay.
that is the third eye one. Now, what we are going to talk about, the context which is there is in terms of depression and anxiety and all these levels of nervousness, they have gone up in the last couple of months with the pandemic and all that. So we are going to talk about the crown chakra meditation. This is the crown, and and again, the crown chakra meditation is basically will actually help in terms of activating your pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is one of the most important endocrine glands which is there in the body. It is supposed to be the headquarters in terms of the functioning of the body is concerned. So it is the very small pea size मटर के दाने के जितना होता है ब्रेन में होता है. तो इसमें भी इसको हम लोग एक्टिवेट करने के लिए फर्स्ट आई विल एक्सप्लेन टू यू what the context is, what is the concept. Then I will also request, just like Dr. Narendra had that you all do it along with me. So there are basically to basically open your crown chakra, you need to basically you have to have 4 passwords, and those 4 passwords need to be activated at the same time. Just like the third eye was there, there are 4 passwords for this. Again, there are 4 passwords for this. The first password is visualization of a light, with the light color is violet. Violet यानी कि जो बैंगन का कलर होता है, purple type of color, that is, right? So you have to visualize that light. That visualization of that light has to be that light is coming from a hand which is 1 feet above your head, and that is the hand of Almighty. और उसमें से वो violet color की light आ रही है, right?
Okay.
So that is point number 1 as far as the password is concerned. Visualization of violet color light, right?
Okay.
Second is basically repeating within you, side by side, that you are a blissful soul. That you are a blissful soul. You are a blissful. So this is the second thing which has to be done side by side, that you are a blissful soul. Just hear me out, and I will, make you go through it.
Sure.
This is the second thing. Third is your hands have to be put on your, down on your footrest, and this is the mudra. This is known as the Gyan mudra. The circle, right? Right?
Right.
This is what it is, and you have to put it on your laps.
Okay.
If you can put it now, just put it right now. Yeah. Right? This is the Gyan mudra.
Yeah.
You have to and you have to put it like this. Right? The fact is, this is the third password. And the fourth password, which has to be done again side by side, is the sound vibration. Sound vibration is essentially your tongue has to be rolled backwards and needs to touch your palate. That is your upper part. Palate is जो कि ऊपर का जो हमारा mouth cavity होती है, ऊपर का जो जगह होती है, इस तरीके से when we touch it, you roll your tongue and you let it touch on the top. Once you do that, there is a sound which comes out when you take it out. The sound is of a bee. जो honey bee होती है, उसकी जो sound होती है, वो होती है. I'll just share with you how the sound comes. So you rolled your tongue, and after having rolled your tongue, you basically made this sound come out, right? So if you can try it, all these four things together, I will guide you through.
Okay.
Then what will happen? Your crown chakra will get activated, and doing this thing around about 5 to 6 minutes in a day will basically resolve anxiety and depression problem to a very, very great extent. If you do it continuously for a week or 10 days, you know, as of now, the results have been almost 100% in terms of resolving most of the problems, unless and until there are certain other complications which are there. So I
Okay.
will guide you through.
Sure.
So you
Let's
just
do it.
close your eyes. Just close your eyes. Keep your hands down in the Gyan Mudra. Relax your shoulders. Have a straight spine. Breathe deeply through your nose. Now we do a small prayer. We request Almighty God to please come in and give us this blissful energy of violet light. So we say, हे ईश्वर, हे परमात्मा, आप कृपा आएं और मुझे अपनी ब्लिसफुल एनर्जी प्रदान करें. अब आप लोग विजुअलाइज कर रहे हैं कि आपके सिर के 1 फुट ऊपर भगवान का हाथ आ गया है, ईश्वर का हाथ आ गया है, और उसमें से वायलेट लाइट निकल रही है. वो वायलेट लाइट जो है आपके सिर के ऊपर आ रही है, और सिर के ऊपर आपका एक एक कमल का फूल जैसा है जिसके 1000 पेटल्स हैं, वाइट कलर का है, और उसके ऊपर वायलेट लाइट गिर रही है, और वायलेट लाइट धीरे धीरे करके आपके स्कल्प के अंदर से जाते हुए ब्रेन में जा रही है और पूरी बॉडी में फैल रही है. अब आप कंटिन्यूसली अपने आप को बोलते रहते हैं कि आई एम अ ब्लिसफुल सोल. आप कंटिन्यू करते हैं आई एम अ ब्लिसफुल सोल. ये अपने आप को कमिटमेंट से बोलते हैं कि मैं ब्लिसफुल सोल हूं. और ये साउंड आप करते हैं जो कि हनी बी की साउंड है. अब आप लोग सब हनी बी वाली साउंड करिए. अपनी जीभ को अपने पैलेट से रोल करके उसको टच कीजिए और आप लोग ये वाइब्रेशन अब शुरू कीजिए. Please try to take out the sound of vibration of the honeybee. And साइड बाय साइड सोचते रहिए कि आई एम अ ब्लिसफुल सोल, और वायलेट लाइट भी आपके ऊपर आ रही है. अब आप लोग अपने हाथ को ज्ञान मुद्रा से छोड़ के प्रणाम मुद्रा में ले आए, यानी हाथ को जोड़ लें और ईश्वर को कहें कि हे प्रभु, हे ईश्वर, आपने मेरे को अपना ब्लिसफुल एनर्जी दी है, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और अब आप देख रहे हैं कि जो वायलेट लाइट है वो वापस जा रही है और ईश्वर के हाथ में चले गई है। अब आप धीरे धीरे से अपनी आंख खोलें। इस एक्सरसाइज को कम से कम 5 to 6 मिनट्स अगर आप करेंगे रेगुलरली 7 to 8 डेज के लिए, तो आपके अंदर जो एंजाइटी है, डिप्रेशन है, नर्वसनेस है, दिस विल डेफिनेटली कम डाउन ड्रास्टिकली। तो अभी तो आप लोग को सिर्फ वाइब्रेशन का फील हो रहा होगा। मेरे को लगा शायद आप लोग पूरी तरह से वाइब्रेशन कर नहीं पाए, जो हनी बी की जो है। थोड़ी प्रैक्टिस करेंगे तो हो जाएगा। तो आपको बेसिकली टंग को पीछे रोल बैक करना है और रोल बैक करके ये हनी बी से आवाज निकालनी है। तो इससे क्या होता है कि द एंटायर माइंड कम्स इनटू अ रेजोनेंस में आ जाता है, विच इज 2000 Hz की रेजोनेशन होती है। तो विद ऑल दीज थ्री थिंग्स गोइंग ऑन टुगेदर, this really helps in terms of activating the pituitary gland to secrete certain hormones which basically act as antidepressant. So,
Great. I genuinely believe and have felt that both these exercises are truly scientific. Because what I can feel right now, it's a different feeling altogether. It's like that you have recited few mantras and you are in a different zone altogether. This took me to one of the feelings where, I used to be the guy in school where I used to be on the mic and recite prayers every morning. So when you were doing that particular prayer and you feel a different aura altogether. It's purely scientific. Thank you so much, Dr. Narendra and Dr. Munish, for sharing. I can definitely tell it has added a lot of value to all the views out there, and it's very simple, easily executable, and so calming. It's wonderful. It's beautiful.
Gaurav, your voice has become softer.
Is it? Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel it already. I mean, I'm in a different zone altogether. My shoulders are like this now. Much more relaxed.
Dr. Saab, what is your experience out of it? You are such an
No, I think
experienced.
very good, very good. I think you go into a deep state of relaxation. I think it's excellent, excellent.
Great.
And Divya ji, what do you feel about it?
I'm just, I'm like very happy. Like, I actually saw, I don't know what was it, kind of a third eye image in front of me. Maybe I was trying to, I don't know. Before opening my
You know,
eyes, I saw
Divya,
something
because we
like,
talked about third eye, that was there in your subconscious mind, maybe.
so it
No, I will
was,
share with you.
I was going deeper into it. It was just I was going deeper into that third eye. It was opening. It was just opening and opening. I was going deeper into it. So it took me a while to came out of that feeling. Dr.
Let me
Munish,
tell
you were
you.
saying
Let me tell you, Divya ji. These are very powerful techniques. All these 4 passwords, which are there, separate passwords, which are there for each of the chakra. Just recently I was doing one for the heart chakra. Heart chakra. It's a different exercise, and that is basically for giving joyfulness. The gentleman is a colonel in the army, and he could not stop laughing for 45 minutes. And I had to do a reverse mudra to basically stop him from laughing. And his face had become totally. And then he told me after it that, look, I want to basically give up everything in life, and I won't want to go to the Himalayas. This is what he said. So these are so powerful. And
yes.
And these are,
But they
let me
are.
tell you, it does not work if you don't take all of them together. You have to have the thought that I'm actually blissful. And you have to actually believe that God is there and He's providing that to you. Right? Plus, that humming has to be correct. If that humming vibration is not coming correct, it will not happen. Right? And the mudra has to be kept very relaxed. Once the four things are done, the chakra opens. It actually opens. And we have seen miraculous things happening by using this. People who had even brain cancer, and had said, "Ki, look, we will not go for surgery," right? Having done this for 1 month, their brain cancer area, came down remarkably,
Wow.
and then it became inactive. It became inactive. I know somebody, who had a brain clot, and the brain clot, that person did not take any surgery and all that. After doing this exercise, that brain clot reduced substantially, and after 15 years, also there is no problem with that person because the person is still continuing with this exercise.
Wow.
So these are very powerful things, and
Right.
that's what it is. I've also learned it.
Great.
I did
Great.
some Meru Chikitsa a few days ago, and it was also very powerful. I think all these techniques are really helpful. Indeed.
Varija ma'am, do you want to say something?
I just missed it because my laptop battery was dying. So although I was hearing everything, but I think I'll have to take a separate session with Dr. Munish on this.
My pleasure.
Well, this is any which is being recorded, so in
Yeah.
case you need any sort of help, you can ask Divya or me as well. That's not a problem. Great. I will move on to the next question now, which is for you, Dr. Narendra. This is more towards, I mean, the solution which I'm seeking or the question which I've framed is more from the psychology perspective. All individuals, they go through some sort of pain or grief in their regular lives. I mean, it's an eternal part. Kalyug, at the end of the day, we have to accept this. So how should one accept the way it is coming your way and move ahead constantly, especially during these crises? I mean, not related to pandemic per se, but otherwise as well. Let's keep aside pandemic for a while. In regular life, how would you like to address that particular concern?
So, Gaurav, I think we all need to learn to be mindful. Mindfulness primarily refers to being in the moment. Now, it's very easy to say it, but it's very difficult to do that. You have your past, which brings the memory. So, whatever has happened in your past is stored in your brain as a memory. And whatever you keep looking at the future, right? And you keep on looking at what will happen, what will happen, what will happen. Now, the past cannot be changed. The future is unknown or unseen. So, all you actually can do is focus in the moment. Now, all of us are either living in the past or we are living in the future, but we don't learn to live in the moment. When I'm
Yeah,
here with you and talking to you, I think if I have a good conversation, that's all that matters, because tomorrow you and I may not meet again, or we may meet again. We don't know. You are
right.
not in my past. You are there today. You may not be there tomorrow, or you may be tomorrow and become a very important part of my life. So I think the key here is to be mindful. Okay, that whatever I do in my life at this moment is very, very critical. That's one part. The second thing is we all bring baggage from our past to any
Right.
situation. So, uh, I've had certain experiences. They create a prejudice in my mind. I approach the situation with that baggage in my head. We need to approach every situation with a clear mind that this is a fresh situation. So, like for example, a startup may have failed, and I'm taking off on that as an example here. That doesn't prevent you from coming up with a new startup idea. You can always go into the future with a new idea. So I think you can only be hopeful when you learn to let go of the baggage. So there's a simple exercise that we are taught that you keep your hand like this. If you keep your hand like this for 30 seconds, it's manageable. Keep it like that for 5 minutes, gradually it starts paining. After 1 hour it become numb, and beyond that you cannot handle it. So we have to let go of whatever has happened and learn to focus in the moment. So I think pain and suffering and all this is all very I think it's a conjecture. You're giving meaning to a situation. What may have been painful earlier, for example, a girlfriend may have left you was a lot of pain. Today, you may have something else better in your life. So we don't look at and hold on to things which have happened. You have to learn to live in the moment. I think that's the key to being peaceful.
Bang on, Dr. Narendra. I'll quote Sundar Pichai's statement here because I follow him on Instagram. Few weeks back, he was delivering a conference in Geneva, even during pandemic, with Ivanka Trump, and he said there's a mindfulness department and mindfulness as a technique which is being practiced at Google on daily basis because of course they have huge employee strength and they face different sort of challenges as well. Uh, they do have a monopoly, to be honest, in the entire globe. So mindfulness is what they are practicing. So a great validation what you just said. You have to be mindful. You have to live in the present, and that's how you have to just let go of the past and see things what they are in front of you, how they are in front of you. Great. Um, Perfect. So I have a couple of questions from the audience. I'll put it straight. Varija ma'am, first question is for you. It's from Debyendu. He wants to ask, how can we get the trusted hint for adaptation? I think you mentioned adaptation around the pandemic question. You have to be, reskill. So his question is around that. How can we get the trusted hint for adaptation?
I think so. So two things here. One is to be very, very. One is the philosophical side of it. The other is if we are talking about startups and if we are talking about consumers, is to be very aware of the changing consumer need. I think that helps any startup or any organization to adapt themselves to the best of their ability. Because if you are designing or producing something which is not relevant for that consumer today, I think that is where you're not adapting as fast as you're required to. But having said that, in current pandemic situation, uh, I am self contradicting myself every day. So what I said a month ago is absolutely not relevant today because the situation has changed. So if you are seeing any of my recorded webinars a month ago, a week ago, so that is the level at which you're supposed to be on your toes with regards to the existing situation and what is happening around you. So even if you're adapting, don't get into your comfort zone that you've adapted and you're good at it. Maybe you are required to adapt again tomorrow. That would be my suggestion.
Perfect. I guess, yeah. I mean, you're right because we've started accepting the way things are. You are living in the present, I would say, Varija ma'am. Then in that case,
Yeah.
next question is for you, Dr. Munish. One of the gentlemen, from, his name is Karan. He represents UIncept. His question is, how do these medicines work? You mentioned about those medicines for different sort of areas. So how do these medicines work? That's what he's trying to understand.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
The concept of homeopathy is essentially speaking, very unique. There are certain principles of homeopathy I would like to share with you. The first principle is of minimization. Minimization in the sense that, let us say, if you are using salt as a medicine, right? Say it is natural table salt, then it will get you have to and you're taking 1 gram of salt, and that 1 gram of salt has to be broken down into 1,000 part, and there is a process of doing that. And so the idea is to basically get into the soul, the atma aspect of that material. So it is diluted to such an extent, the dilution is done to such an extent that the soul aspect of it comes up, ignites up, and that potentially comes up. That is one principle. Second principle is that homeopathy follows the principle of like cures like. Like for example, if somebody is having, which is basically the principle of vaccinations, in the entire allopathy world, the principle of vaccination is there. So that principle is basically used, and most of the medicines are basically taken out from that. And third thing is that these medicines basically act like a catalyst. They are so minute that they basically go, and if the right medicine is given, let me tell you, each one, there are around about 3,000 medicines in homeopathy, and each of the medicine can be worked upon in 60 to 70 different problems. So the diagnosis is very, very critical as far as the homeopathy is concerned. So if one medicine is being taken and it is the right medicine, it acts like a catalyst, and even one dose of that medicine can just change the total situation. I personally believe that if a dose of homeopathy medicine has been given and it is the right medicine which has been found out by the doctor, because it is based on the principle of individualization. Like for example, you are having problem, and Divvya is also having a problem, and Madam Bajaj is also having the same problem. But depending on your personalities, the medicine will change. It is individualized. So and it acts like a catalyst. It does not have a role in itself. It comes, it does the switch off ko switch on kar deta hai, and that's what it does. And most of the medicine in homeopathy acts from the tongue, because वो कैटलिस्ट का काम करना होता है. अंदर जाता है तो उसका कोई रोल नहीं है. कैटलिस्ट का काम करता है, मुंह में ही कैटलिस्ट कर जाता है. So if you take a homeopathy medicine and take it with the water and just go down, it becomes zero. Most of the impact comes from the tongue.
Okay.
So these are the principles which are there. I hope I have been able to answer, Karan.
Definitely. In fact, that has answered a lot of myths related to homeopathy as well. Going by my personal experience, that's how I'll put it. You've answered a lot of myths around it. Okay, great. Quickly, the next question is for you, Dr. Narendra. It's by Anvesha Ghosh, and he wants Anvesha Ghosh. The question is, how do we drive negative thoughts about oneself and others out of our mind to make the mind calmer and more positive? How should we? How should one individual negate those negative thoughts?
Okay, so Gaurav, what I want to say here is thoughts are neither positive nor negative. Thoughts are thoughts. It's
Great.
the
Okay.
meaning that we give the thought that makes it negative or positive. So
Great
remember
statement.
that a thought which is negative to you may be neutral to me and maybe
Right.
positive to somebody else. I gave an example earlier that the world is going through a crisis. The same crisis can be looked at as an opportunity by certain people. So the thoughts are very unique and individual to a person. So the meaning that you give to a thought is what makes it positive or negative. The second part is that I need to evaluate why I'm giving this thought a negative meaning. And if I understand that, I can bring it to neutral where they stop impacting me. And if I work on it, it can also become a positive thought. So people are trying to lose. Okay, if they get upset with putting on a weight, they look at it, then they wonder why, and go on, and it can become that they reach a point where they start looking at losing weight in a positive way. So I think it's a transitional thing, how you give meaning in your own head. The second part is that how do we make our mind calmer? So we all are constantly evaluating ourselves. Not only are we evaluating the world, we are constantly evaluating ourselves. We all have what we call as a self concept. You look at yourself in a particular way, right? That's your self concept. Now there is the real self and there's the ideal self. So real is what I am, ideal is what I would like to be. Like,
Right.
I would like to do Munish's exercise every day, but I can only do it once a week, right? Now, there's a
Right.
gap between what I want to be and what I am. Now, the bigger the gap, bigger the pain and the trauma. The smaller the gap, the smaller the pain and the trauma. So, we need to create real selves of ourselves, which are very close. So, the ideal self and the real self has to match. Minimum the gap, the better is your acceptance of yourself. So primarily one needs to be more accepting of one own self. It doesn't mean that you can do wrong things. You can say, I will drink a bottle of whiskey and that's my real self and I'll continue to be like this. You need to create a more balanced viewpoint, which is acceptable to society at large also. So I think that's how I would like to look at handling my own problems, or making myself more calmer. Being positive. So you see, there's a lot of theories which say that being positive or being negative is a temperamental issue. There are children who are born, and from the time they are born, they cry a lot. They are cranky children. They keep on crying. They keep on hassling the mothers, screaming at the top of their lungs. And there are other children who, when they are from the time they are born, they are calmer, they are peaceful, they are smiling, they mix around easy. So all of us have our temperament. You see, we are born with certain temperaments. Now, it doesn't mean that if you're cranky when you are born, you have to remain cranky at 40. You can obviously evolve and become a better human being. So people who are temperamentally calmer are also more acceptable to the world at large. So I think we have to work on our temperament. So if you think you're not calm, you have to work on yourself. Some of the exercises that we've spoken about, maybe you can go for counseling, maybe you can talk to people who are your role models and get to a better point where you're able to deal with your own self.
Great. In fact, that also answers one of the questions again by gentleman Karan, that how should one remain positive as an entrepreneur or as an individual. I think the holistic and the overall 360-degree view has been covered today. And I would like to highlight, I was going through few questions and few responses that has come during this session. Some of them are, it says relaxing, very helpful, great. The deep, slow breaths themselves are so relaxing. I feel detached, released. So these are the sort of questions and the comments we've received. And I'm not surprised because I know for that matter, I am myself a very aggressive personality. And you noticed it very well, Dr. Narendra. There was a complete change in my tone after we did those exercises. I mean, not aggressive in a positive way. I am not overall aggressive. I'm still okay. I have my sanity in place. So, which is great. I think we have had a great session, Divya. Before I ask you to, this particular close this particular bit, Varija ma'am, you want to say anything around this particular question, or you want to say anything else? I guess there's some issue with her internet.
Yeah.
So, moving forward. Thank you so much, Dr. Munish and Dr. Narendra. It has been great. Let me say, I mean, I have 5 years of experience on my side when it comes to entrepreneurship, and 7 years in corporate. A lot of queries have been answered today, and it will definitely add value to. Let's keep aside entrepreneurs, to each and every individual, you know because the approach was, of course, we started from an entrepreneurial point of view, but the solutions we have provided today are truly executionable, simple, and easy to inculcate in our daily lives. So which is great, and thank you so much. Divya, you want to say something before I close this session? We are pretty much
Yes.
on time. We decided for 90 minutes, so we are around 97 minutes now. So
Yes, Gaurav, I really want to say thanks to everyone. I mean, here we had a really good session. This series that we have come up with, You Talk with UIncept, by this accelerator that I work with, I think it is only meant to bring different perspectives about different issues that an entrepreneur faces, today. And by touching upon this very important issue of mental health, and by hearing perspectives that Dr. Narendra and Varija ji and Dr. Munish brought here. And thanks to you, Gaurav, I think it was moderated very, very well.
pleasure,
And
pleasure.
whether it was psychology or medicine or anything else, we, I think, covered everything today. And I hope we are able to help these startups in some way. And we will keep on doing that in future as well. So thanks to all four of you to be present here and to take time for each, like one of us here. Thank you so much.
So,
Great.
Gaurav, really, really thank you. I had a wonderful time. I think you've been a great host. And I meant it in a good way, that because, your whole body language and the tone changed. So I was very
Right.
happy that it only meant that you did the exercise really very, very genuinely. So
Right.
it's been an extremely good opportunity. And thank you to all of you.
Likewise, sir.
Thank
Likewise.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having all of you, and learned a lot of things from all of you. And thumbs up. Great.
Great. So to all the entrepreneurs and to all the viewers, if you have any sort of questions, you can reach out. You know who we are. What do we represent in our personal lives and professional lives? You can reach out to UIncept, Dr. Munish, Dr. Narendra, Varija ma'am. You can check each one of us on LinkedIn. Any sort of queries are more than welcome. We are happy to address, and we will be more than happy to add that value to the ecosystem we represent. On that note, thank you so much, everyone. Wish you a great, happy Sunday evening. And I would love to host one of the sessions in the near future as well.
you. Sure. Gaurav, thank you so much. Makes my
Okay,
work more easy.
great, great. Take care.
Thank
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot.